Mark Meirowitz. He's a professor of political sciences at the State University of New York, Maritime College. Welcome to the program, Mark. Good to see you. I'm sure you heard President Biden's remarks there on the ceasefire. No mention of a peace process or where this goes next with peace.
We have a lot of wishful thinking here, and let's have a reality check. Biden talks about working with the Palestinian Authority, but the people in Gaza want Hamas. In fact, they canceled the elections. The last time Abbas had an election was 15 years ago. So maybe they should have an election and decide who really represents the Palestinian people. Secondly, you notice that Biden mentions the Iron Dome. Now, why does he do that? Because he wants to explain that continuing the bombardments by Hamas is pointless. I think as far as the UN is concerned, that's a road to nowhere. It always has been. You notice that the trajectory here is the United States. I think it's an absurdity to believe that the United Nations is pressuring Israel and the United States. That's gone. I think the ceasefire is a good moment for everyone to pause. But to get a lasting peace in the Middle East, let's be realistic. The United States right now is preoccupied with COVID. The United States is pulling back from its commitments in Afghanistan and around the world. It's still focused on China, on Russia, and certain major issues. But at the end of the day, the Middle East is not high up on the list. What the U.S. wants is calm. It does not want to have a conflict in the Middle East. It wants to put that aside. But the United States is not going to get directly engaged in this. What's really behind it all, and again, this is all my ideas, is really the Iran nuclear deal, if you think about it, because that's not going to go forward unless, there's calm in the Middle East. And the United States and Biden wants to make this deal. So there's a lot of other things moving here, including the Abraham Accords, the Saudis. There are a lot of factors, a lot of moving parts here. But at the end of the day, the peace process that we talk about, the two-state solution and all of that, as long as Gaza is in control and Hamas is under control and the people in Gaza want Hamas, you notice they want to it's called like the elephant in the room. That's Hamas. So the only way you're going to solve it is to get them to stop to shoot the missiles and Israel to agree to a ceasefire, which they did, which is good. But
Mark,
notice that nobody's talking about direct negotiations.
Exactly, direct negotiations. And I just want to ask you about how the discourse has changed in the US. A lot of my guests have said that it has. What do you make of particularly, how the discourse has changed, if at all, with Biden, with his party, and also with the general public, those three?
Oh, absolutely. It's really all domestic politics. Look, Biden, in order to be successful, he wants to, the progressives, I think there were 29 or 30 senators who signed a letter to Biden urging him for a ceasefire. We had a very lengthy debate in the U.S. Congress and the House by progressives pressuring Biden, asking him why does he support Israel in connection with this. The Democratic Party is pressuring Biden. That is the intersection between domestic politics. That's where the discourse changed. If you notice, the original discourse on this was about Israel having a right to defend itself and very little about the Palestinian peace process. Then the progressives in the House and now the senators are pressuring Biden. He cannot ignore that because he needs a consensus among the Democratic Party in order to achieve victory in the midterm elections and to be reelected next time. So he really stepped back and noticed that the readout of the White House is completely different than the tone. And you're absolutely right. The discourse changed. But it changed because of domestic politics. It didn't change because the United States wants to get into this.
But will that be sustained, Mark? When the news agenda moves, when different domestic politics situations develop, will the Palestinian struggle still remain? And we've seen also Bernie Sanders pushing for the arms sale to be blocked.
Okay, look, Bernie Sanders has never passed a bill in the Senate in his entire career, okay? So, Bernie Sanders ran for president. Bernie Sanders is Bernie Sanders. But, he's just one voice. He linked in. He did sign that letter to President Biden, and that pressure led us to this situation, okay? And that's fine. But the question you raise, I think, is the really important question, is what happens now once where do we go from here? And I really believe that you won't see anything significant going forward because the U.S. is pushing for calm. You know, the U.S. foreign policy agenda no longer places the Israeli-Palestinian issue on the top of the agenda. It's just not there. And this whole conflagration right now, what the problem has been in Biden's political status in the Democratic Party, it's not because Biden wants to be an interventionist. He doesn't want to be. He's announced he wants to pull out of Afghanistan. Well, do you think he wants to get into the Middle East now? He wants to get into a battle in the Middle East? Forget about it. There's no chance in the world. So he wants to calm it down, and, you know, threatening Israel about arms sales and things like that is a counterproductive effort in the United States because there's very strong bipartisan support for Israel's security and for its qualitative military edge. That's a given, and that's not going to change. So given those factors and given the political situation as it is domestically, I think we want to move to more calm and probably no long-lasting solutions. I regret to say, I don't see that this is going to lead to a lasting solution. Notice that Biden, as we mentioned before, is talking about, I want to talk to the Palestinian Authority. Well, that's great.
Mark, we've run out of time, I'm afraid. Mark Meirowitz, always great to speak to you. I wish we had more time to do so. Thank you so much.